All right, Stewie's ready. I'm ready. Are you ready for Pet Pals TV? Coming up today, we have an exotic show, National Geographic, and a photographer who has a lot to share. Plus, we're going to talk about Gus, the therapy dog who goes to the hospital. And then, from the Indianapolis Zoo, they got a baby. Yes, a baby giraffe. All coming up on Pet Pals TV.
Give a little love. Give a little more this time. Give a little love. If you give everything, will be fine. Give a little love. It'll come back if you just try. It'll feel right. Give a little love.
Starting off on Pet Pals TV with Steve Switzer, and Ghost, of course. And Steve is a videographer, photographer, reporter. This is something near and dear to both of our hearts, National Geographic. I remember as a kid loving the National Geographic. It was a window to the world, and you loved it as well.
Oh, absolutely. And the gentleman I spoke with, Steve Winter, says if you ever thought about being a National Geographic photographer, you ought to come see his presentations. Because in addition to being a wonderful photographer, he's an amazing storyteller. And that's kind of what this story is about. He takes us behind the scenes of what it's like to get some of those amazing pictures that he has. And he talks about things like being charged by a rhino while
Charged by a rhino? How much
while
did the
he's
rhino
riding
charge
an elephant.
Get it? How much did he charge the rhino? Okay, can we take a look?
Yeah.
Let's take a look now. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Steve Switzer. When I was a kid, I was lucky enough to have parents who subscribed to National Geographic. It was my passport to the world, and when I got a camera, I dreamed of one day becoming a National Geographic photographer. Today, via Skype, I caught up with a gentleman named Steve Winter. As a kid in South Bend, he shared my dream, but he made it a reality, traveling the world covering animals and specializing in big cats.
My dad gave me my first camera when I was 7. It was like Kodak Instamatic. And, you know, I decided when I was 8 years old I wanted to be a photographer for National Geographic. But never in a million years did I ever think I would do animals, because I dreamt of walking those dusty roads and meeting those interesting people that I saw on the pages of National Geographic.
He dropped out of IU, traveled the world with his camera, working in advertising and fashion, and eventually he landed a job as an assistant to a National Geographic photographer. That's what led to his first assignment for the magazine. But it was about birds, not cats. He was living in a little shack, all alone in the cloud forest of Guatemala. It was a scary place because loggers had recently murdered other outsiders.
And I would walk up the mountain at the end of the day, and I'd get goosebumps, and the hair in the back of my head would stand up, and I'd be looking around. You're scared when you're all by yourself and you don't know what you're doing. And one night I'm all alone reading my book, and I hear the stairs creaking. Then I hear the floorboards creaking, and I figure I am a dead man because I'd seen guys with guns. But then I hear scratching under the door and then sniffing. And then all the hair on my whole body stood up. And I whacked my machete on the side of the bed just to make noise. And there was silence. Then I whistled. And I heard front paws, back paws going down the stairs.
He was terrified, and he radioed the naturalist back in town.
All I heard was a bunch of laughing when I told him in my broken Spanish what had happened. He said, "Steve, don't worry, it's just a black panther." And I always say that's the night that big cats chose me, because I knew nothing about big cats.
Not only is Steve a great photographer, he's a wonderful storyteller. Taking his pictures and stories around the world for National Geographic is now one of his greatest passions.
I was the first one to sell out the Sydney Opera House, or Big Cats did, because they weren't coming to see me, they were coming to see Nat Geo and Big Cats. If you're wondering about whether you want to buy a ticket to this, ask yourself, Have you ever wanted to be a National Geographic magazine photographer? If the answer is yes, or you ever even thought about it, that's what my show is about.
You can check National Geographic's website to see if Steve is bringing his presentation to a venue near you. It's called On the Trail of the Big Cats. Go to events.nationalgeographic.com and click on the Talks tab. Steve's presentations are filled with wild stories, and he reveals some of the secrets behind his most memorable shots. For example, he often isn't behind the camera when the shutter clicks. He uses what's called camera traps. They're carefully placed in locations where he expects the big cats to visit. The trap senses the cat's movement and snaps the picture. Using this motorized robot car also resulted in some unbelievable pictures.
It had a still camera on it because I always said I'd like to get a picture looking up at a tiger, but the only way I could do that is if I was in a tiger's mouth, and then I'd be dead. You know who's interacting? The female. The males that were big and like Smasher, who would smash my camera traps, they ran away.
But capturing those fantastic pictures isn't always so safe.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was the most scared I've ever been in my life.
He's talking about photographing from the back of an elephant. He'd put a camera on a bamboo pole to capture some low-angle images.
It turns out that rhinos don't like cameras on bamboo poles. Rhinos have teeth this big. And the rhino came after us, and it chased us. The elephant did a 180. The guard lost his gun. And we're like being on horseback galloping across the field, but on an elephant, with the rhino jumping up at the guard who's jamming the bamboo pole. The rhino bites the elephant on the left-hand side. The elephant goes right. I fly out of the seat. My fingertips just grabbed a hold of it, and that's the most scared I've ever been in my life.
The elephant was fine. And in spite of that, he still loves working for National Geographic. What's the best thing about working for National Geo?
It's to realize your dream and to be able to show the incredible world in which we live to the readers of National Geographic. You know, if we can save big cats, we can help save ourselves. So, trying to tell these stories.
For Great Day TV, I'm Steve Switzer.
Well, if you want to know about this story or any of the other stories you've seen here, go to our website.
PetPalsTV.com. Oops.
Oh, shit.
It's time to go. So sit, stay. We'll be back with more on Pet Pals TV.
What?
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
You know, there are different types of dogs. There are service dogs, there are therapy dogs, there are facility therapy dogs, there are dogs that sniff the couch. We're going to talk about a therapy dog here now. His name is Gus, and he's a Labradoodle, and he goes to Eskenazi Health, and he helps the patients to smile and the staff as well. I got to meet Gus. You're going to love him. You're looking at Gus, and Gus is a therapy dog here at Eskenazi Hospital. And of course, Valentine's Day is over now. We're still celebrating because every day our pets have our heart, right? And now we have Betsy Vance. And Betsy, what do you do here at Eskenazi?
I'm the Chief Nursing Information Officer here at Eskenazi Health.
And you also, Gus is your boy.
He's my baby boy.
Okay.
Yes.
The therapy dog.
He's a therapy dog, yes.
You do this with people who are maybe staff and also patients, right?
Yes. The therapy program at Eskenazi Health brings in the dogs for patients, staff, and visitors, anyone that's in the confines of Eskenazi Health.
Okay. And everybody seems to love Gus. He's a big star. Does he know he's a big star?
Absolutely he does. Okay. Absolutely.
Now, how did you know? When you got him as a puppy, you had no idea he could do this?
He just was loving and sweet and kind and just had an affection to going to people, and that really gave him gratification. And so I wanted to continue that. And it was great because it was right when Eskenazi was beginning its pet therapy program. And so what a perfect match. Mm-hmm. I could do my work here as a nurse and bring my dog in and do volunteer work for the better good.
Oh, I love it. He is a Labradoodle.
An Australian Labradoodle.
Okay, which means low shedding and hypoallergenic, which means low allergy.
Yes.
When he goes home, what does he do? What does he like to do?
He enjoys watching TV. He enjoys playing with his ball. He enjoys just being with people, family, friends. He loves the interaction. That social interaction is what gives him the most gratification. Okay. And it gives me gratification. Whoops.
Sit down. Whoop.
It gives me gratification knowing that he's made a difference in someone's life.
Oh. Have you noticed a change in this? I know people smiling and staff and patients as well. Right. It changes everybody, doesn't it?
It does. On a day sometimes when it's not it could be a tough day, you can come by and see Gus on Valentine's Day and just say, hey, how are you? And get a picture with him and just have that, fun feeling. So it's a good time. And I love seeing when people walk by and their expressions change and their smiles grow on their faces. So it makes it all worth it.
It makes it all worth it. Makes your job good too, right?
Yeah, I like my job.
You love your job. We're going to be doing more too coming up in the next few months or so. We're going to talk about, you've got a big park coming up.
I do, the Canine Therapy Garden. I'm very excited.
It's going to be amazing and not rough at all, right?
Right. Okay. Exactly. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be possum. All right, we're going to get all the puns in there. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Right. Thank you.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Pet Pals TV with another therapy dog today that helps in another hospital. And in this case, it's a greyhound with children. Adam Dunn is our photojournalist who has the story. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Patty. I know you've heard of therapy dogs, but have you seen a therapy dog as fast as this guy?
This is what Finn does. Ta-da! It's his best trick.
Kathy Moore and her greyhound Finn are too bound to make children's days happier at Riley Children's Hospital. This track star hung up his number to find his true calling.
They really are very well suited to be a therapy dog, though. He was a racing dog in Daytona, and we can check the tattoos on his ears, and we can see videos of him racing. So I know that he loved to race. He had a big grin on his face, and he has a lot of fun running. But he didn't really care if the other dogs got in front of him or not. So they retired him when he was 2. I think he only raced, for less than a year. I would love to see more greyhounds do this. I mean, it's a great job for them when they come off the track, because in most cases they are very laid back like this. Greyhounds are known as 40-mile-an-hour couch potatoes because they sleep about 23 hours a day, seriously.
But to go from track sprints to running down the halls of a hospital, it takes a little bit of training and some careful decision-making. Pause and Think took on training of Finn after he was trained at Putnam Correctional Facility and adopted by Kathy.
There are all different kinds of dogs in Pause and Think. Little fluffy dogs, big giant dogs. There's a Newfoundland that looks like a big bear. This is a little more rare just because I think greyhounds are still a little bit more rare as pets. But again, in the training, he just took to it really well.
My role is to interview the dogs. So it's kind of funny when I say that, like I'm the person who interviews your dog, and our volunteer coordinator interviews the handler. So what I do is get down on the ground with the dog. I kind of pretty much do what a child is gonna do to the dog.
As it turned out, the child life specialist that oversees pet therapy really likes greyhounds.
Kim Ziegler at Riley's Children's Hospital has to make sure that the animals don't have any hot spots for the safety of the children before they bring them on as a therapy dog team.
Finn is definitely a very different pet therapy dog. I think that was what drew me to him when I first met him.
His particular forte is laying on their bed. He loves to lay on their bed. And they seem to really enjoy it.
The children and family get a moment to take a break from their everyday that they're going through in the Children's Hospital.
He just tries to help normalize their days or just make their days a little more interesting. I think it can be extremely boring day after day at Riley. And Riley works very hard to ease that boredom for kids. It's something I can do, so I want to do this. And it makes me feel good to see that I gave those kids a break. Even if it was for 5 minutes, it was a little break in their day. It was something they can talk to their parents about later.
For Pet Pals TV, I'm Adam Dunn.
Right now it's 100% of
A baby giraffe at the Indianapolis Zoo, coming up on Pet Pals TV.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Pet Pals TV, and we welcome the birth of a baby. We have a baby. Stewie, do you like babies? This is a baby reticulated giraffe. Yes, it is. And Brenna Donnelly and I talked to Judy Palmero about the Indianapolis Zoo and the birth of the baby. Here we go.
We have a big announcement. It's a girl. Stewie's like, no, I'm not. We're not talking about Stewie. We're talking about a female giraffe calf born at the Indianapolis Zoo. This is always a cause for celebration. Patty's here, of course, and Judy's here from the zoo. Ladies, thanks for coming in.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Isn't this a wonderful thing? Yeah, I love it. When I was a kid, I remember my mom and dad pulling me in a little red flyer wagon. Even back then, I didn't like to exercise. So, and we'd look at all the animals in the zoo and learn things, and my love for animals continued on today, and I love to go to the zoo. Judy's going to tell us about this. Is a reticulated giraffe. What does
Yes,
that
and we
mean?
love hearing stories like that because when you get kids to the zoo early, then they have a love of animals and
Because
they want to
you
help
learn.
them, you know?
You learn.
Well, we had a new arrival, and it's the first girl in 12 births.
Oh my goodness.
The keepers were like, we got a girl.
She's rolling the dice wrong on that.
So there she is, Makena.
Makena.
Yeah. And
What does
Takasa is her mom.
reticulated mean?
Reticulated is the pattern.
Okay.
And they're all different kinds of species of giraffe. And one of the reasons why Makena is important is that she's an ambassador for her species in the wild. So people will come, they'll get up close to her, and you wouldn't normally get to do that unless you go on a safari. So you kind of fall in love, you get engaged, and then we enlighten people on what giraffes face in the wild. And we know that over the last 3 decades that populations have declined terribly. From
Is
about
she a threatened species then?
Well, they have been moved to vulnerable, and reticulated are endangered. So there's only about 8,000 of her kind in the wild. So she really is an important part of spreading the word. We also have some things at the zoo that you can do. Last year, we had a roundup in the gift store. So your change went to the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. And so we sent $20,000 to them last year because people just rounded up their change. And that buys a lot.
Well, and giraffes are beautiful, especially any baby animal. But giraffes are fascinating because they're so big when they're born. And if I'm right, when they're born, they've got to drop 5 or 6 inches. Right? That's kind of a rough welcome.
But they get right up.
But then, they stand and I mean,
she's already over 6 feet.
I was gonna say, was she able to? I mean, was she able to adjust quickly? And
she did. I know our vets went in and checked her, and she was walking around following them. She was really personable.
And when did I bounce? Yes, I did. When I'm a kid again. When can we go and see her? I know they're trying to keep her.
She will be out in the spring, and you have to be really careful with hoof stock that when they go out that it's not wet. So once it gets dry, we'll get her out and everyone can meet her. We also we have another female that just came to, a 1-year-old named Kita. She came from the Fort Wayne Zoo, so we'll get to meet her too and feed them, and it's pretty neat.
And you said Makena is a Swahili name as well.
Yes, it means abundance.
African heritage. I love it. I love
Isn't that
it.
great? For more information on the giraffe and the Indianapolis Zoo, go to indianapoliszoo.com. We'll be back with more on Pet Pals TV.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
I adopted adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
James White is going to be joining us again today, and he's talking paw prints and what you need to know. Hi, James.
Pet Pals TV is doing a full court press to get puppies adopted. It's the Puppy Playoffs presented by Noah's Animal Hospitals. You'll have a chance to cheer on the adoptable puppies in person as they play ball and show off their cuteness. Learn all about the event and the star-studded television program to premiere in April. All the details are at petpalstv.com.
Baby, you can count on me. If somebody calls me a cat guy, I take it as a compliment.
Nothing turns a tough guy into a real softie like a loving cat or dog. A nonprofit group called Show Us Your Soft Side invited some NFL football players and martial arts fighters to talk about their pets and what they mean to them. The irresistible video is live now at petpalstv.com. It's a dilemma all pet owners face, knowing when to say goodbye to an older pet who's in great pain. Our Pet Pals TV expert, Tom Dock, recently faced that dilemma with his beloved dog, Loki. His blog offers some common sense advice. Look for it now on petpalstv.com. And check out a new feature. Just hit the adopt button on our website, then type in your zip code. You'll find a cat, a dog, or another lovable critter up for adoption now. And don't forget to sign up as a member for petpalstv.com. It's fun, it's free, and it's easy. For Pet Pals TV, I'm James White.
Stewie, you've been a good boy, okay? You have been a good boy. You've been a good boy too, good boys and girls. Go to our website if you'd like some more information, maybe look at some other stories, catch up on what we're doing. It's free, petpalstv.com. We'll see you next time. Take care, bye-bye.